What a night of football it was, a clash that will be remembered for a long time, not just because of the scoreline, but because of the emotions, the storylines, and the way Ecuador stood tall against the reigning world champions Argentina. When we look back at this Ecuador versus Argentina match that ended 1-0 in favor of Ecuador, it wasn't just about 3 points, it was about pride, resilience, and the belief that football is always unpredictable. For Ecuador, this victory was monumental. For Argentina, it was a painful reminder that even giants can fall when the atmosphere is hostile and the opponents are fearless. The match began with an electric buzz. The stadium was alive, the Ecuadorian fans filling the air with chants and songs, their yellow jerseys making the ground look like a sea of fireflies under the floodlights. You could sense the intensity even before the whistle blew. Argentina, coming in as the world champions, carried the weight of expectation. With Lionel Messi leading the team, with players like Lautaro Martinez, Rodrigo de Paul, Enzo Fernandez, and Ángel Di Maria, everyone thought this might be another routine win for Argentina. But Ecuador had other plans. They were ready to fight for every ball, to make every tackle count, and to show their fans that playing against Argentina is not about survival, it's about competing at the highest level. From the opening minutes, Argentina looked composed. They dominated possession, keeping the ball moving with their usual calmness. Messi dropped deep to orchestrate play, De Paul was working tirelessly in midfield, and Argentina looked like they were trying to slowly choke the game by keeping Ecuador pinned back. But the Ecuadorian defense was solid. They were aggressive without being reckless, disciplined without being passive. Piero Hincapié, Félix Torres, and their goalkeeper Hernan Galinde were absolutely rock solid. Every time Messi tried to weave his magic, Ecuador swarmed him, cutting off passing lanes, forcing Argentina into uncomfortable spaces. The first real chance of the game came from Argentina when Lautaro Martinez found himself through on goal, but Galinde produced a stunning save to deny him. That moment felt like a warning to Ecuador, but instead of panicking, they responded with courage. Moises Caicedo and Kendry Paws began to grow into the game. Caicedo was a warrior in midfield, breaking up play and driving his team forward, while Paws, despite being so young, showed maturity and flair that lit up the game. The Ecuadorian fans roared every time their team broke forward, believing more and more that they could do the impossible. As the game went on, Ecuador started creating chances of their own. Enner Valencia, their captain and talisman, kept pushing the Argentine defense back. His movement, his energy, and his leadership were inspiring. There was a moment when Valencia unleashed a powerful shot from the edge of the box, and Emiliano Martinez had to stretch fully to keep it out. That save reminded everyone why he's one of the best goalkeepers in the world, but it also showed that Ecuador was not just defending, they were attacking with intent. The first half ended goalless, but you could feel the tension building. Argentina had more possession, but Ecuador had more belief. The crowd was louder, the tackles were harder, and the atmosphere was becoming more hostile. You could see frustration on the faces of some Argentine players. Messi tried to rally his teammates, urging them to stay calm, but the magic wasn't clicking in the final third. Lautaro was isolated, Di Maria couldn't find enough space, and Enzo was being bullied in midfield by Caicedo and Mendes. The second half started with Argentina pushing harder. Messi came close with a curling free kick that had Galinde scrambling, but it went just wide. That miss almost felt like a turning point. Ecuador sensed vulnerability, and then the breakthrough came. In the 63rd minute, a cross from the right found Félix Torres rising above the Argentine defense. His header wasn't the most powerful, but it was perfectly placed. Emiliano Martinez stretched, but the ball slipped past him and into the back of the net. The stadium erupted. Ecuador 1, Argentina 0. The roar was deafening, fans jumping, waving flags, some even in tears. It wasn't just a goal, it was a statement. Ecuador had struck against the world champions. From that moment, the game completely changed. Argentina threw everything forward, desperate to find an equalizer. Messi dropped even deeper, trying to create chances, but Ecuador were defending like warriors. Every tackle, every clearance, every block was celebrated like a goal. Galinde produced another incredible save when Messi tried to sneak in a low shot. Lautaro had a header go agonizingly close, but it just wasn't Argentina's night. The frustration grew. Di Maria was replaced, Julian Alvarez came in, but Ecuador's wall stood firm. The final minutes were nerve-wracking. Argentina dominated possession, pinning Ecuador in their own half, but the hosts refused to break. In stoppage time, Messi had one last chance with a free kick. The whole stadium held its breath. This was his moment, the kind of script football writes so often, where the greatest player of all time rescues his team at the last second. But this time, the ball sailed just over the bar. The crowd exploded with joy, knowing the victory was almost theirs. Moments later, the referee blew the final whistle, and the stadium erupted. Ecuador 1, Argentina 0. History was made. For Ecuador, this win was more than just 3 points in the World Cup qualifiers. It was about belief, about showing the world that they can beat anyone, even the reigning world champions. Their young talents like Kendry Paws and their warriors like Caicedo, Valencia, and Torres showed heart, discipline, and courage. It was a victory of spirit, a victory of unity. For Argentina, this was a reminder that football is never easy, that being champions means every opponent will bring their best against you. It wasn't about Messi not trying, it was about Ecuador playing the game of their lives. The emotional scenes after the game told the story. Ecuadorian players embraced each other, some dropped to their knees in tears, thanking the fans. Valencia lifted his hands to the sky, knowing how important this win was for the country. In the stands, fans cried, hugged, and sang, proud of their team for writing another glorious chapter in Ecuador's football history. Meanwhile, the Argentine players looked dejected. Messi, with his head down, shook hands with opponents, showing respect, but you could see the disappointment on his face. It's rare to see Argentina blanked, it's rare to see them not score, and Ecuador did just that. The scorecard tells the story simply but powerfully. Ecuador 1, Argentina 0. Goal by Félix Torres in the 63rd minute. But behind those numbers lies a tale of determination, of David versus Goliath, of a night when Ecuador believed and conquered. Football is emotional, it is dramatic, and this game reminded us exactly why we love it. Ecuador showed us that football is not just about stars, it's about teams, about fighting spirit, and about making your people proud. Argentina will bounce back, no doubt, but for Ecuador, this win will live forever in their memories. As fans, we often talk about tactics, possession, and stats, but games like this remind us that football is also about moments. The moment Torres' header went in. The moment Galinde made those heroic saves. The moment Messi's free kick sailed just over the bar. These are the moments that shape football history. Ecuador may not have the star power of Argentina, but on this night, they had the heart, and that was enough. For Ecuadorians everywhere, this victory wasn't just about football, it was about hope, pride, and joy. In the end, Ecuador won, Argentina 0 will be remembered not as an upset, but as a triumph. A triumph of belief over fear, discipline over chaos, and collective strength over individual brilliance. It was beautiful, it was emotional, it was football in its purest form. And that is why this match will be spoken about for years to come.